Normally, the Royal Marines of 539 Assault Squadron can be found working on the waters of southwest England. But for a 2-week exercise, the squadron and its support teams have relocated to Scotland. This is Loch Ness, and in the summer it would be something of a tourist hotspot. But with the winter weather now on the scene, it's actually providing some rather challenging conditions for those operating on exercise raging torrents.
The main element that the hovercraft will be concerned about is the direction and strength of the wind. Because they're floating on a cushion of air, they have to compensate for the direction of wind to achieve the direction they actually want to go in. And that could mean that they're facing in one direction but travelling in totally different, which can be quite confusing for the coxswains. For the ORCs, those crews, they're out exposed to the elements, so the wind and the rain is going to be a challenge for them to cope with personally, but won't affect the actual handling of the craft.
But to get this far, first they had to negotiate the Caledonian Canal's lock systems. It was as much an unusual sight for the locals as it was for some of the Marines themselves.
One of the younger lads actually said to me he's never actually been in a lock before, so to see the system and working closely with the civilian authorities here to get that done. It was just another thing that we bring to the party that is capable, and we are capable of that, even getting the hovercraft, which are sometimes seen as very fragile vessels, that they can still do that. But yeah, the most challenging part I think of this exercise so far has definitely been the weather. It's, like I say, doable, but it definitely brings an extra factor that you've got to really factor into your planning and even just the care of the lads, because it is rather cold outside.
They've chosen Scotland because next year the squadron deploys on exercise in Norway. The conditions and terrain are as close as it gets to replicating those of the Norwegian fjords. And it's the first time in around 10 years the squadron has exercised on this scale along the Scottish waterways. It's also a first for some of the newer boat crews.
Yeah, I'm recently qualified landing craft officer, so this is the first exercise which rolled out as a boat group or even as a squadron. So this has been a really good opportunity for me to sort of get in amongst the skills and drills, the SOPs. All the lads have done this for quite a while, so this is me coming into a well worked up troop and squadron and learning all the sort of aspects of being a landing craft officer.
The squadron left Inverness in the early hours, finishing the day at the far end of Loch Ness at their forward support base. They'll stay here overnight before continuing the journey to Fort William. Rebecca Ricks, Forces News in Loch Ness.